A lot of people say that, Harry, most Jews don't harbor this hatred for non-Jews that you describe periodically, or all the time, actually, because to the kind of hostility that is this kind of murderous genocide plan comes from a strain of deep, deep hatred of non-Jews. You have to really hate us in order to do what the Jewish structure of power, through their pharmaceuticals, through their intelligence operations, through their connections in the military, through their connections in the politicians, are doing to us. Forcing poison onto children is pretty much the apotheosis of a hatred of non-Jewish people, right? Because remember, the spike protein does not, this coronavirus does not affect, it doesn't have that this ACE2 receptor uptake, and that's why it was designed specifically to address that particular pathway into your tissue in order to do the damage. It was the ACE2 receptor was chosen specifically because it's not expressed to the same degree and intensity and a proliferation in Jews to the degree that it's expressed in non-Jews. So it just doesn't affect Jewish people. But then people say, Harry, my friends are Jewish. They don't have any of this hostility, and they're nice people. Well, I would say that you can't really separate the most really repugnant aspect of this Talmudic, rabbinic Jewishness from Jewishness in general. You cannot separate it. You cannot say, because I would say that the principal identifying feature of what it really means to be a Jew is the religious aspect of it. This Talmudic, rabbinic aspect is so. If your friends and my friends that don't harbor or don't appear to harbor this real hatred for non-Jews, like the people obviously pulling this genocide operation do, then I would say they're not really Jews. You know what I mean? Because to be a Jew is, I think, at its most fundamental core, it's to accept, go along with, or believe in all of the religious aspects of Judaism. And then when people say, well, no, because I know people who are actually religious Jews, and they don't have this hostility towards us. Well, I'm sorry, but it's a liar's creed, Judaism. It's a murderer's creed. I mean, if you have in your holy book talk about how non-Jews are mere animals, and you can cheat them, you don't have to pay them, you can screw them over, you can kill them, you can bring harm to them, it's no problem, just as long as you don't do that to another Jew. Okay, well that's I think more of the essence, the essential nature is the religious aspect of it, because there's all this, you always hear these people say, oh, what is Judaism? Is it a religious? Is it an ethnic group? Is it a race? And there's all debate. And I don't really care too much about the debate. To me, the Jewish problem, the Jewish question, has everything to do with those who accept or live by this liar's creed, or this this supremacist's creed that is this Talmudic rabbinic Jewishness, and that if your friend that you say is quite a nice person and doesn't like I say harbor any of this hatred, then I would say that there's something else. First of all, I don't know why anyone who would have been like a white-skinned Northern European over in Lithuania, Latvia, or wherever, Poland, or the Pale of Settlement, or wherever the Jews concentrated in Northern Europe with their white skin and stuff, during the times from the Middle Ages upwards, when they were not liked. The only reason you would continue to identify as a Jew, if you didn't have to, if you were white-skinned and rather Northern European-looking, like the Ashkenazi are, right? The only reason you would associate with Jewishness is because you accepted that this tribal this tribal relationship and this tribal antagonism that Jews had with their surrounding populations, right? There would be no other real reason why anyone in the Middle Ages, when there was slaughter after slaughter of Jewish people, unless there was some benefit. And the benefit is that you belong to a tribe that has a certain amount of gold and money. All right, that's what they did. I mean, that's not Harry Vox telling it. It's like every single history book that dealt with whatever the economies were of pre-Europe, the Middle Ages kingdoms there. It was all about the Jews and the money, and so you couldn't have a conversation about life in medieval Europe without talking about the role of the Jews and the money and how hated they were and the periodic slaughters that occurred and expulsions for good reason, right? Nobody wants to live next to a usurer. Nobody wants to live next to the moneylender. You know, it's always not a very pleasant person if that's all their contribution is money, 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 money. These are nasty today, as they were, I'm sure, back in the Middle Ages and before, right? So nobody likes this type of person, right? So if you identified as a Jew back then, and you didn't have to, you did so because you accepted or took advantage of or benefited from whatever that tribal relationship that you had with this set of precepts or religious doctrine that sets you apart from everybody else. That in the very Talmud it has line after line that you are the supreme, God's chosen ones. All other people are animals. You can treat them like animals. You don't have to pay them. You could steal from them, no problem. If they steal from you, they should be killed. If you steal from them, hey, that's just their bad luck, right? Right? You cannot separate that you can't separate that very real and extensive part of the Talmud and the Torah and the Sanhedrin. You cannot separate that from the rest of Judaism and say, well, we're going to cherry pick Judaism. These parts of Judaism we're going to go for, but this other parts, you claim that you're not going for. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. It's one book. You cannot separate it. You cannot cherry pick your religion. It is what it is, right? If you identify with Jewishness, you identify with this supremacist ideology, period. That's no question about it, right? So if somebody doesn't identify with that, I would say that they're not necessarily a Jew then. There's something else. They're light-skinned Northern European people. They're people that were from Poland or Lithuania. But if you reject that antagonism against all other people, then you're not a Jew, because that is what characterizes what a Jew is. The principal single most defining feature of a Jew is not their geographic location, although I would say that in the case of Mizrahi, dark-skinned people who can trace their ancestry back to the Levant or the Judea back then, yes, geographics really do make a difference. But all the other Jews that come from Northern Europe with white skin, and those are not Jews, unless they subscribe to this hatred of non-Jews. And then, yes, they're a part of this tribe called Jews. Very, very simple, right? So if you don't hate all other people and you don't believe that you are God's chosen ones, you're not a Jew. That's my thought on it.